So one thing I think you end up learning when you move abroad is, as an African, you cannot avoid sending money back home. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to do it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Nigerian in London. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back. My name is Dabi and today's video is all about the cost of living in London. Now, I have a video that I made a couple years ago about this actually, but one, my lifestyle has changed. Two, the cost of stuff has changed, and also there are some things that I didn't add last time that I wanted to kind of share with you guys in terms of like different options you have, if that makes sense, for like different categories. As you watch, it'll make a lot more sense. So I'm gonna start off this video saying, one, cost of living is something I think is very subjective. It's very much dependent on like your lifestyle, what exactly you want to spend money on, what's important to you, things like that. So please just keep that in mind as I share these things, because what I'm doing in today's video is sharing how I spend my money on a monthly basis. I'll be sharing things like rent and like bills, all those kind of things, to give you a better idea of what living in London is like from a cost perspective. I won't be sharing very random things that I think will make no sense to you, but I just want to give you a good idea of what the cost of living in London is, at least from my perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna jump straight into today's video. So I want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to the sponsors of today's video, Lemonade Finance. Lemonade Finance is an app that allows you to transfer money from the UK to Ghana, also from the UK to Nigeria, with zero charges. All transfers are instant. They offer the best exchange rates, and the best part is, for your first transfer over £100, you get 10% cash back using my code DABI, which I will put up on screen right now. So I'll put links down below to how to kind of download the Lemonade Finance app and my code as well, if you want a little reminder. So thank you, Lemonade Finance. So first things first, rent, because I think rent for most people is their biggest monthly cost. Now, I currently live in a 2-bedroom masonette in zone 3 and I pay £1,400 a month for rent. A little footnote here, I don't live alone. I live with my fiance, which means we get to split the cost between us. Also, that cost is much higher because of kind of the property we've chosen, or the property I've chosen. So it doesn't include bills. When I did live in a house share, which if you've watched my old video, you would see that I think I paid about £600 and that included bills. This, no bills included, and the house didn't come with any furniture or anything, so we did need to buy furniture. In my house share, it did come with furniture. I didn't need to buy furniture, which is why I always say, if you are single or you are comfortable with it in London, it is more financially sensible to live in a house share. The next major thing is council tax. Now, council tax is a tax you pay basically for general maintenance things to the council. So stuff like, I think, the road, libraries, access to, I don't know, community centers, I think. Basically stuff like that. Bottom line is, you can't get away with not paying it. You will get in a lot of trouble. So I pay £113 as council tax every month. And I will say your council tax is based off of, if I'm not mistaken, not everybody pays the same amount. So people in different areas pay different amounts, and then also depending on the type of property you have, you may pay a bit more, you may pay a bit less. Next is water. I pay £27.83 a month for water. I will say that I think when it comes to water costs as well, for some people, I believe depending on how much water you use, you kind of pay based off of that. That is not the case for like kind of the package or whatever we have at home. It's just a general flat rate. So the next one is TV license, and I will say TV license is a bit of a weird one because I do not think most other countries have this. It's basically a cost you're paying if you watch any live TV or like regular TV, if that makes sense. If you have a television and you use it to watch normal channels, then you are meant to pay TV license. And then I think also if you use like a BBC iPlayer, you are meant to pay TV license. Now me, I used to pay TV license. I do not anymore because I realized, John and I, my fiance, we realized that we don't watch TV at all. All we do is watch like Amazon Prime and Netflix and like Disney Plus. So it was like, what were we paying for, if that makes sense? So we used to pay for like Sky as well, which is like satellite TV. Don't pay for that anymore. There was a month or a year where we realized we were just wasting money and just got rid of it. But I checked how much we used to pay, and our TV license used to be £158 a year, which is a lot of money. A cost slash bill that we recently kind of taken on that we didn't used to have before is a cleaner. Technically it's £35 every time she comes. She comes twice a month, and I did have a cleaner when I lived in a house share, I will say, and then we didn't have a cleaner for the first like year and a half or two of living here. But what we realized is it honestly takes so much time, and I've realized my time is very valuable to me. As much as I enjoy cleaning and stuff, I can do something a bit more productive with that time, and I am very grateful to be in a position where I can afford a cleaner, if that makes sense. Plus John hates cleaning, so it helps my relationship that we have a cleaner. So that makes £70 a month for the cleaner. So the next thing is food. Now, food is obviously a very subjective thing, depending on like how much you eat, where you shop, all that kind of stuff. For us, between both of us, we spend about £200 and £250 a month on food, and that does not include restaurants. This is more like groceries and stuff. What I've realized is every household in this country is either Tesco or Sainsbury's, Lidl or Aldi, Waitrose or M&S. We are a Sainsbury's household. I generally like Sainsbury's products. Their food is really good quality. The Taste the Difference line I absolutely love. But yeah, if we shopped in Lidl or Aldi, for instance, it would be a lot cheaper. If we shopped in Waitrose or Marks and Spencer's, it would be a lot more expensive. I will say I wish we could more regularly shop in like a Lidl or Aldi from time to time, but it's quite difficult because I don't drive, and John either does the Sainsbury's grocery shop or we do an online shop. So I think it's a bit stressful to have to go to two different places, if that makes sense. And if we had to choose one, Sainsbury's, which is why we shop at Sainsbury's. And then one that is more us specific slash if you have a pet in general, which is why Poe is here for demonstrative purposes. Dog insurance, we pay £32 every month, and dog food we pay £29 every month because we get it delivered. And then also Mr. Poe likes his custom food. It's like Tails, it's from tails.com. It's actually really good and really nutritious. So yeah, that's like doggy costs, apart from all the toys and stuff he also gets every month. So travel and transport. Now this is a bit of a tricky one to budget for or like look at, because before the Panasonic panoramic situation, I used to get a monthly travel card. I used to travel into the office about 5 times every day of the week. I would also go into the city to see friends, hang out, dates, stuff like that on the weekends. So it ended up cheaper to get a travel card. I think once you travel into the city 5 times, 4 or 5 times, it makes more sense to get a monthly travel card. I no longer do that. I work from home, I would say 80-90% of the time now. So I don't buy a travel card anymore. I just budget £100 and go pay as you go with my Apple Pay. That's what I do now. Another kind of caveat for travel/transport is if you have a car, obviously your costs are going to be completely different. But what I would say is it is very, very easy. I have lived in this country for 5 years and never had a car, so the public transport is extremely reliable, and you can live without a car. So yeah, if you do get a car, your costs will obviously be different and much higher. Something to note about like having a car in London is that not everyone has one, and it's like very normal to be an adult and not have a car in London, because one, the public transport is really good. Two, a lot of the time it is so much more expensive to drive into the city because you have to pay like congestion charges, you have to pay for parking. That's even if you can find parking. The traffic is insane, so it almost makes it just not worth it. Like a lot of high power executives I know, even if they have cars, still don't even end up driving them into like the office, so they end up taking public transport. So what I'd say is you should probably figure out whether having a car makes any sense for you or not. So to give you a better idea of life in London, especially now that we've gone over costs, I want us to have a look at salaries, what the average salary in London is, what the average salary for a 27-year-old like myself is, kind of to give you a better understanding of the full picture. Looking at this graph right here, the first thing you'll notice is the London salary is the highest. So before that, first of all, you might also want to note what we're looking at is the median salary and not the average salary. When you use average salary, it kind of skews things a bit. So median salary is a better representation of like giving yourself an idea of how much people earn basically in London. So first things first, London salaries are obviously the highest, then comes Southeast, then Scotland, then the UK average. So basically on average, the average UK salary is much lower than the London salary. And the reason for that is the cost of living in London is much higher than the rest of the country in general. So one thing to note is that this number, £39,716, is not how much the person is taking home. So how about we take a look at how much you would actually take home after tax? The total amount that was the median salary for London after tax, this is what it would be. It would be per month £2,556. Now, do with that information what you will, but yeah, look at basically there are so many deductions. The first kind of quantity that you see, that number is definitely not what anyone takes home, and the more you earn, the more tax you pay. It seems like a lot of money at first, and then you start breaking it down, and it's definitely not as much. So I tried to find the average salary of someone my age living in London. I was unfortunately not able to, but here is the average salary of someone who is 27. I would be in this bracket living in the UK. That is £24,600 annually. Now, looking at that number from an after-tax perspective, seems like kind of a lot of money to like that. Obviously, depending on maybe where you live currently, this is not that much money, especially after tax in London. So here you have the yearly after tax amount, and then monthly it would be, let's give this person a pound. It would be £1,700 a month. And yeah, there you see that London is not cheap to live in. When you start to compare these numbers to how much is spent on rent, how much is spent on food, um, and kind of just all that stuff. So rounding the video up, I will just say the cost of living in London in general is much higher than living in other parts of the UK. Other parts of the UK tend to be a lot less expensive than London. So yeah, do with that information what you will. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you found it valuable and enjoyable, and a massive thank you again to the sponsors of today's video, Lemonade Finance. Download the app, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.